In the book.
Yeah, superb defensive driving from three-time Australian champion Peter Fitzgerald.
Hi guys, Scott here from Outlaw Garage. We are back with James, who is potentially one of the first few videos that we did when we got back here to Melbourne. We are here with a Porsche GT3 Cup Car. We've actually got two, because there is another one just over there. We have got a Peter Fitzgerald liveried GT3 Cup Car here, one of either the first or the second one that was delivered here to Melbourne, so we're going to take a tour of it today.
James here, RSR Classic, here with our Falken Tyres GT3 that we're restoring for a guy in Adelaide. Thanks for coming down, mate. And,
no problem. This is
having a look,
because I think you were probably one of the first few handfuls of videos that I actually did here in Melbourne.
Yeah, that's right, you were.
So it's been a few years, but we've caught up at Cars and Coffees and a collection of events and racetrack meets and things like that. But there was an opportunity to come down and see this today. We'll go through the car because the interior is a spectacular job as well. But you've been restoring this, get it back on the road.
That's right, so I've been restoring it. This is the original Peter Fitzgerald Falken Tyres Nations Cup Car. So Nations Cup ran from late 90s to probably mid 2000s here in Australia. Very, very good category. I quite enjoyed it. I was working on the cars back then. One of them was back there.
On down to Conrad Jupiter's turn. Here they come out of turn 8 up toward FedEx. So Peter Fitzgerald.
This car was one of the original cars, one of the first ever GT3s in the country, this one. So this is literally the first GT3 ever came to the country.
Ah, okay.
And that's why it's a bit of a special car for the owner. Yeah, I've got the pleasure of putting it back together and making it a usable road car, but also keeping the race history.
So, exterior, we talk about restoration. How did it actually turn up? What did it look like when it got here?
So exterior wise, it looked exactly like this. So I believe the paint was done 2 to 3 owners ago.
Yep.
This car's had multiple different colours. Started off as a blue GT3.
Yeah, because I think we can see down here it's a very, it's almost a dark navy kind of blue. There we go, there's the lights, pick that up.
Yeah. So multiple owners, multiple colours over the years. And like someone should have done a long time ago, put it back to the Falken Tyres colour.
Yep.
So it did the livery, all the paint. It's not a wrap, it is actually paint, all that.
Yeah, because I did, you look at it and you touch it and it is actually paint on them.
Yeah, how it was done back
in the day.
Back in the day when the car was new. But there's still a lot more stickers to go on the car, so when we get around to that process, some of these decals are not correct, but I'll go through that with photos that we have from back then.
The history of it. And
yeah, absolutely.
So this is Peter Fitzgerald diving down the inside of Peter Bradbury, and Mark Noske sitting there just behind them in the Ferrari 360. So a nice move from Fitzgerald to go through.
Suspension, I hope we don't have to touch, because it is the original race suspension.
Okay.
And I don't really want to touch it. I want to keep it the way it was.
Yep.
Brakes are as they were, and the wheels are what we used to run back then. So they're an Oz Racing wheel, which was quite popular back then for the GT3s.
Yeah, they do look really good on the car. I think if we can try and see from a side profile there is, people will see as well, there's another GT car out the back there. We might take a look at it just before we go.
Yeah, so it still retains the original block, so it's a matching numbers car, although it's been built into a 997 Cup engine. So
a bit of an upgrade.
Oh, a major upgrade. It has a 996 Cup gearbox, so the H pattern gearbox with the oil cooler. So yeah, quite an angry car. It's pretty aggressive on the road.
Yeah, we were talking about it earlier, that it's not only the engine that you hear, it's the gearbox, it's the whole car.
That's right.
There's a visceral experience with the whole car, isn't there?
It's loud, and which we probably should quieten it down a little bit. The engine is basically a 997 Cup engine. It's got the intake, it's got the heads, it's got everything. And I've recently installed the air conditioning back into the car, which is a major job because literally everything has to come off underneath. and all up through the front, and that's why it's still not together yet, and we haven't got the cows in here. And so air conditioning's gone back in because it had that when it was new. So I'll show you the engine. So I mean, it's there
we go.
Cup intake, cup heads, and I'm sure pistons and barrels are called cup. So they're all 3.6 litre engines. I'm not sure if this has been upgraded to 3.8 because I don't know who built the engine. I'm sure there's people out there that know who built this engine and can comment, further
Perhaps,
on that.
Yeah, a bit more history with it.
So I'm not sure if it's this originally 3.6, but I'm not sure if this is 3.6 or 3.8. To me, it's probably a 3.8 because it is very, very aggressive.
Yeah, okay. And there we go. There it sits. The exhaust, we're saying, is a little bit loud because it doesn't have any mufflers.
It has no mufflers. It's just the cats. But this is a system that I put on the car, so it's a car graphic. We will most likely incorporate some mufflers just to quieten it down a bit. It is way too loud.
Yeah, might be some mufflers going in later just so that it's a little bit quieter. It's a hell of an exhaust setup.
But we're still keeping all the original fuel lines and all the that used to be a fuel line to bleed out the fuel, and trying to keep as much of the history as we can.
Yeah, we will skip to the interior now because, like you said, it is a ton of work on the interior, but the yourself and the owner, some particularly good choices. I'm a big fan of the seats, so let's take a look.
Yeah, I really enjoy the seats. If you have a quick look at the complete interior was stripped out. There was nothing left of it. The owners had these seats reupholstered and also gone with the hardback sport seats, and
I think the
hardbacks are colour matched.
Yeah, with the roof. There we go.
It's a great addition. So while he's still got the original seats, the Club Sport seats
up the top there,
he's chosen to put these ones in just for comfort. Also, we've chosen to keep the door cards, the original sort of race door cards that the car had back in the day, but also incorporate all the interior, put the original roll cage back in it. So, a proper factory roll cage rather than the welded in or partly welded in roll cage that this car had.
Yeah, okay.
Air jacks were removed as well.
But probably a really sensible decision if you're going to use it as a
road car.
Yeah.
Road car, cars and coffee, and the odd event. So the air jacks were removed in Adelaide, at a workshop in Adelaide. Made the interior a lot more, I guess, original. We didn't have air jacks in the way to worry.
Yeah, I was going to say that it's a bit more manageable to build an interior around it rather than, like you said, have the air jacks in.
But I sourced most of, the carpet, all that I sourced here. I've got some good suppliers and I know where to find a lot of these GT3 specific parts.
Yeah. Because obviously this isn't your first rodeo.
No. I think
you've done this a few times and that's why the guy
brought it here.
Yeah.
I think this is about the 7th or 8th GT3 or Cup car I've restored. I worked on them when they were new.
Yeah.
These cars and also the 996 Cup cars. So I've got a good amount of history with them and I enjoy doing it. These early GT3s are the step between Porsche Cup and I guess Carrera Cup. I mean, after the guys finished Porsche Cup, they went into Nations Cup, and then once Carrera Cup came around in 2003, all the top guys, all the top runners went straight over to Carrera Cup, and then these cars were sold off to private individuals, and the typical race car life that we always speak about is it gets passed on down the down to second, third, fourth owners, and they get used at Porsche club events, track days. Some of them end up in a whole state of disrepair and get left in workshops, and then 20 25 years later, they re-emerge and get restored. These particular GT3s, the early ones, which were built in Weissach at Porsche Motorsport, so the rest, all the other GT3s were not, they were just built at Zuffenhausen. These were all essentially hand-built as the first batch of homologation cars, because there's nothing above a club sport. There's no RS, R, nothing.
No, that was it, wasn't it?
That was it. And these were homologated for motor racing in obviously Europe and around the world. Nice and original, the chassis. Hasn't had any big hits, so it's the original sort of production date.
Yeah, okay.
I think you can see the date there, so 17th of the 7th, 99. It would have gone down the line.
Which again, chassis, original block.
Yep.
There's a lot of originality with the car.
Yeah, a lot of these cars weren't really, in Nations Cup, weren't really crashed that heavily. It wasn't really a category where it had a lot of damage. So chassis-wise, it's really good. This car's really straight, just like mine is. Sure, they've all had little bumps and bruises.
Yeah.
But nothing major. I mean, still got original parts there. And inside, I can tell there's a lot of originality in that chassis. There's nothing been cut in it, modified or anything like that.
No, it's just, I think that's a great touch with the interior as well.
Yeah, so a lot of the cars also had Motec dashes. So
I did notice that down there.
It used to be mounted here, where everybody put their dash in front of the original dash.
Yep. So
we've elected to put it down on the center console.
Yep.
And it's a great feature where we're keeping that because it still runs a Motec piggyback system and an M8 Motec.
That's a nice touch.
Yeah. So it's part of the engine management, and we want to keep all that. The switches to change the settings on it are all here.
Yeah, that is a nice touch to keep that. Handy to move it, of course, for when you're driving down the road.
The original dash still remains functional.
Yeah.
Everything works.
So we're talking wheel nuts.
Yeah.
I know this might be a bit of a strange topic, but I've broken mine recently, so it is a topical conversation.
So these are the endurance wheels that we used to use in Nations Cup for endurance racing, of course. So these cars did endurance races at Bathurst. They did the Sandown 500 when the V8s had an argument with Sandown and went to Queensland Raceway, 2001, 2002. So these were what we used for endurance racing. So the rules were that you couldn't have captive nuts. So you couldn't have nuts that didn't come out of the wheel.
Yeah.
But these do. But they're still retained with a ring. So
okay.
So you could still pull them out to achieve the rules, but also they stayed in place when we were doing wheel changes. Just for normal racing, sprint racing would use probably normal wheel nuts because these weigh a bit.
Yeah.
There's 20 of them and they weigh a bit, I guess. Most of the 996.1 GT3 and particularly the club sports, they were brought into the country for racing. That was their purpose. A lot of guys are out there searching for brand new mint cars, in particularly these early ones. You're not going to find it. They've all got race history. The story goes with this and Jim Richards' car was Peter and Jim went when the cars came into the country. They didn't get them delivered through Porsche Centre Melbourne. They went straight to the docks, picked them up from the docks, and took them straight to their workshops. So Peter's workshop is 10 minutes down, or the old workshop is 10 minutes down the road, and Jim's is just over that hill. So that was the story with these first two ever GT3s that came in the country. So no, they weren't delivered through Porsche Centre Melbourne. They were just straight off the dock, straight to the workshops, straight into a race car.
Looks to the outside. Fitzy's got it closed though. He'll try and maintain as much speed through the corner as he can and get a fast exit.
So we've just come outside. It is raining a little bit, but we're out here. This is James's GT3 Club Sport Cup Car. Privately owned, privately raced in the same series.
Yep. Prepared in the same workshop.
But just a privateer.
Yeah, it was a privateer. It was a Mike Downard. He ran this car in Nations Cup and Porsche Cup back then. But yeah, just a privateer. minimal modifications, suspension, brakes, that sort of thing. Still retains the original factory roll cage. I worked on this car when it was brand new. A bit of history there with me and this car.
Yeah.
It was the Sandown 500 in 2001, I think it was, that we worked on this car. But came full circle. Bought the car a couple of years ago, restored it, made it correct.
Yeah.
With all the correct parts and everything. So yeah.
And there it is.
There it is.
Yeah, that feels like a forever car. That does.
It does. I mean, every now and again I have the tendency to sell it, but I think I probably should hold on to it. Just mentioning, so back in 1999, when we were in Porsche Cup, Porsche used to come to us and say, you got to buy the new GT3. And this is what they gave us. So this is the promo video. VHS.
I haven't even seen a VHS video in years. Never mind a promo video.
So this is the new GT3 that you have to go and buy and get rid of your 993 that's now worth way more. But anyway, that's how it was back then.
Available on VHS.
Yeah.
Probably at your local Blockbuster. Yeah. Well, great to catch up with James again in this Fitzgerald GT3. Absolutely fantastic to see that it's going to be back on the road. If you're in Adelaide, give this car a massive thumbs up because it's going to be amazing to see it out and absolutely hear it. Please give the video a big thumbs up, subscribe to the channel, and we will see you later, guys. See ya. Bye.